Hi, my name is Mandolin Royal, and I'm here for Tornado's update. His buddy is already back in the pen. I did get a weight on him, and he did post a gain. But they were being rambunctious and rowdy, and I've got a separate plan in mind for Tornado's video today. The other one, I don't want him freaking out because I'm probably going to freak out Tornado a little bit. I wanted to go over some numbers real quick. No, you can't eat them. Last week, when Tornado was at 9 weeks old, he put up an 8-ounce gain. His little buddy had an ounce loss. That was pretty disappointing. Earned him call status. This week, 10 weeks old for Tornado, he crossed that 4-pound mark for an 11-ounce gain. His little buddy, 34 ounces for a 6-ounce gain. Not impressive. But Tornado's a weirdo. I want to preface this by saying he is not growing for what's typical for our flock. That's why I'm so interested in tracking all this and keeping some notes on it. These are his historic gains. So at 5 weeks, 20 ounces. That was for a 7-ounce gain. Another 7-ounce gain, 9-ounce gain, 12-ounce gain, 8-ounce gain, and then back with an 11-ounce gain. So he's kind of doing the opposite of what I thought he would do. I am going to put him on the scale just so you guys can see. Do you want to step up on your own? Or do you want to pick your feathers? I know, so many new feathers. Turn this way. Let me get under you. Jesus, bird. Well, I know. Quit growing and it wouldn't be so difficult. Do you have all 4 feet? So it goes back and forth. 4 pounds, 2 ounce, 4 pounds, 3 ounce. But still, this guy's gonna be a monster. I don't know what to expect from him at this point. You might hear that his voice is changing. He's losing the little peep peep sound of a baby. Can I see your face? That little tip of yellow that he had on his beak, that's gone now. Now that color's pretty even. We can look at his comb a little bit. He's gonna have conjoined spike right there. That's a 2 for 1. It's not a great thing, but it's not a totally damaging thing. It's just something I'll have to watch. You stand up so we can see your feet. These are those recessive trait sprouts I was talking about. Seems to be more on that leg than this leg. He's got his little spur nubs coming. And I don't know what color to call these. They're kind of pink, they're kind of white. There's a blue tint. They don't look like breast feet though, not in the truest sense of the word. Those should be a dark blue. But I can't exactly ignore this growth rate either. He's going to be working on feather growth and then molting again. But I'm going to change gears and see if I can position my camera above him and handle him with both hands. Show you some moves there. Hold on while I get that set up. Alright, I'm back and I figured out a way to tilt my phone in just a certain way to get the correct view of this. So now that he's coming up on the teenager phase, we can start spending more time handling him. Earlier, they're growing so much, it's really hard to get a feel for what you're feeling on. But now that he's starting to get that juvenile body to him, now it's worth getting some preliminary measurements. One of the important things is length of a bird. And when they talk about length, they're talking about from the base of the neck to the base of the tail. So if you feel on the tail, you can find where that base is. On him, it's right here. So I can take the palm of my hand and put it right there and run it across his back. That's right about where he's at. He's gonna be a monster, man. I don't even know what to think of this bird. But anyways, width of the bird is across this way. And you don't want to count your wings in that. You want to look at just the body of the bird. So you can find where the shoulders tie in with the wing. I know, it's uncomfortable, buddy. He's pretty wide up here, too. His carcass is going to be massive. But he's over 3 fingers wide in between his shoulders. And then when you follow that down to where the hips are, there's 2 little pockets of meat above the thigh that are very tender because they never get exercised. That's the first part of the bird I always go for when we have dinner. But anyways, that's also part of your width back here. And the more birds you handle, the more you can get a feel for what you're actually feeling on and the differences and variations between them. This guy, just based off of weight, we already know he's working with a big carcass size, so we already know length, width, depth, that's going to be there. It's weird that it's at this age, but we'll roll with it. So I'm supporting him underneath him with my hand in between where his legs are, and he's leaning into me. But that lets me get a feel for the length of the keel, the fleshing down the keel, and the spread in between his legs. And he's over a 4-finger width down there. By 4 fingers, I mean these 4. That fits in there. No problems. Can you stand up, please? You're hurting my wrist. Hold still. We're gonna try to do this wing. Hold still. Don't. I know. But we gotta see it. Here, we'll do it this way. He wanted to be supported again. Nothing's ever any different. I'm just supporting him different. So now we're gonna get this wing out here. He's still growing it in. He's still molting. But this is how you spread a wing. Here's the joint right there. And I have my hand under there for support, which has already loosened it up. And I'm gonna use the fingers underneath to get the spread and use my thumb above to hold it so we can bring it out like that. You can see like that big chunk missing there, that feather just hasn't grown in yet. You want to check their wings when they're fully feathered. You don't want to do it when they're molting. It's going to give you the wrong impression. But let me show you again. Get your hand underneath where that joint is. Work your hand in there for support. You can feel there's a bone right here that comes down, a bone that comes up this way, and then there's the rest of it that goes off that way. And there's a flap of skin right here. If you were using wing bands, that flap of skin is where that band would be. So we're gonna get a light but easy grip. You don't have to be too firm with it. Then we're just gonna gently spread it out. Like so. If they had split wing or something, that's going to be right here where my thumb is. But if they're not fully feathered, you're going to see some other gaps in there too. Thank you, buddy. That was good. So that's some of the basics on handling. The reason hands are the measurement tool is because you always have them with you. You're not going to forget it in the house. You're not going to leave it somewhere on a table. So get familiar with what they feel like in your hands and use your hands as your measuring tool. You're never going to leave them behind. So whenever you have the desire to pick up a bird, see what they feel like, just go ahead and do it. Another important measurement is back here under the tail. That's their pelvic width. There's two little bones down into either side after the tail ends. That's their pelvic width. On a laying hen, that's going to be 4 fingers wide, and on a male, it's typically going to be 2 fingers wide. And feeling on him now, he's almost at 2.5 fingers. And at his age, that's weird. He's starting to get the body of a much older bird. I'm intrigued. We're going to keep doing this weekly to watch this anomaly of a bird grow out. I know his breeding, and I know he goes back 6 generations pure to the breast I started with on our farm. But he's weird. And growth, temperament. Of course, he was tamed down early when he was a baby since he hatched by himself. But this is going to be fun, so I'm going to keep doing this every Thursday. His little buddy's still trucking along too. But there's no point in comparing them anymore because there's no contest. I mean, they're completely different birds. So I would do you guys better by comparing a whole group of typical birds. But we're going to keep tracking Tornado for fun. Plus, he's my buddy now. Yeah. He tried to crow for the first time yesterday. That sounded pretty ridiculous. Maybe I can get that practice crow on video at some point. That's what we have for this week. And we'll see you next week. So I found a measuring device in the barn. It's a square. I was hoping for a tape measure, but that's probably somewhere else. And that's why we use our hands for measuring. Never leave them behind. So for science, I'm going to put the palm of my hand right there, run it up, which means I have a 7.5 inch range for length. And my 4 fingers is 3 inches. We're looking at this line right there because it runs all the way to the corner. So for pelvic spacing, it's like 1.5 inches. And then for a hen, it's going to be about 3 inches. Just off of my hand. So if you want, measure your own hand and see where you're at. But then get really familiar with using your hands on the birds. That way you can develop the feel of what you're looking for. Just as a little side note there. Are you tired of this? I think he's bored with me. So I'll put him back. We'll do this again next week.